Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter's father we are not a family? Plus updates. Original post. I, 33 female, am a single mother to a 6-year-old girl. I've raised my daughter all on my own. She was born from a one-night stand with a now former friend, 37 male. We never got together, and he refused to be involved in my pregnancy or my daughter's first 4 years of life. I was stressed out emotionally because it's a big change, but I never asked for child support or force him to be involved. I have enough income to send my daughter to private school. I'm perfectly fine on my own. The issue started when he reappeared from wherever he went and decided he wanted visitation. He's not in my daughter's birth certificate. Father is listed as unknown. He wanted to have that amended. I said no, and that if he wants, best he'll get is to meet her in outings with myself or my daughter's godparents. He agreed, but he's been constantly pressuring getting parental rights. Court already gave him a big fat no unless he pays 4 years of child support, which with his income goes somewhere around $230,000 US. He hasn't paid a cent. My daughter doesn't even call him dad or recognize him as dad. She calls him Mr. I keep it very clean. I never bad talked him, never made up stories. Even during court, the assigned CPS agent testified that my daughter had no affection or clear relationship with her biological father. Now, the main issue happened in a PTA meeting. He would say things like, my family thinks or what is best for my family. I didn't agree with him and voiced by saying my daughter has different needs and those are priority. He was clearly angry. After the meeting, there was a moment for teachers and parents to mingle and just talk how the kids are doing. One of the teachers approached me to apologize, saying she didn't know my husband and I didn't like a project she was doing with the kids. I told her I had no husband, and my daughter loved the project and wants to be part of it. The teacher then told me that my former friend was going around talking like he's my husband, and he represents the family. I saw red. I walked to him and very loudly told him we needed to talk in private. In a parking lot, I told him we were not a family, and that he either will respect I'm the only one that can make decisions on my daughter's education, or he won't be involved. He went on about being her biological father, so I reminded him he had not paid a cent for the pregnancy, my daughter's needs, or even the private school my daughter is in. He hasn't tried to see my daughter since, which she doesn't mind at all. I asked her, I do feel a bit bad about what I said. Am I the a-hole? I wanted to add this because the PMs are driving me insane. He has the money to pay child support. He chose not to pay. He was never prohibited from being involved. He had my phone number. I sent him a picture and invited him to birthdays and other big celebrations. He never came. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Why is he in a PTA meeting with you? Have you told the school that he can't pick her up? Not the a-hole. He decided to leave and did not support you during the pregnancy or the first 4 years of her life. He is not a parent. He might be the father in the sense that he is the bio parent, but he's not a father to your daughter. He actually forced himself into the meeting. I wanted to give it a chance for him to be involved. I didn't expect him to act this way though. And how exactly did he know time/place? The school has a public schedule in his website. He knows the school she attends. And with him not even being on the birth certificate, why didn't you just tell anyone, admin, teacher, etc., that he had no legal relationship with your child? Why didn't the teachers ask? How did the teachers not know he wasn't your husband? A private school has much fewer students. Haven't you met and talked to your kid's teacher? So many questions. To be fair, I've kept my family situation very private. It's not well seeing where I live to be a single mother. Most people assume I'm either a widow or my husband is overseas. Admin knew, but I had no real time to correct him. Plus, I didn't want to make too big a scene. It's why I took it to the parking lot. Next time, make a scene. It also informed the school, teachers, admins, even the school board and other parents. It happens way too often still in this day and age that a mommy or a daddy who isn't in the picture or who doesn't have custody visitation rights to see the child by themselves pick kids up from their school, and no one at the school was ever informed that these troubles exist. Now for the first update. I, 33 female, going to preface this by saying my 6-year-old's daughter's father, 37 male, I'm going to call him Jeff, has never been my romantic partner. We had a one-night stand. I don't like people calling him my ex, since it makes it seem we had some kind of emotional attachment. He was never involved after I told him I was pregnant and actually wanted me to terminate the pregnancy. But I decided to raise my child alone, since I have enough money to raise her without child support. For the whole pregnancy and the first 4 years, Jeff was not in the picture. On my mother's recommendation, I did send him pictures and invited him to special events, but he always replied he had no interest in my daughter. 2 years ago, he reappeared and began demanding parental rights. When I didn't do what he wanted, he sued and was told no, he was not getting parental rights. He was given the offer to pay child support and then we can revisit giving him actual rights, but he has refused. He has the money, much more than me, but he refuses. I still offered to let him see my daughter in a casual manner. No child support needed, with the agreement that anything legal, medical, or educational will not involve him. He pushed the boundaries and we had a fallout. After that, we didn't hear from him for almost 6 weeks before he called to meet for Christmas. After much discussion, I agreed to bring my daughter over, on the condition my daughter's godparents could come. Thus, we went over for Christmas dinner. And finding out Jeff is married and had never told his family he had a child. It was great to be judged by a bunch of strangers. It was uncomfortable the whole time. I'm going to use fake names, but let's say my daughter's name is Katie. His wife kept calling my daughter Gabrielle. Not the actual name she used, but it was that different to my daughter's name. The wife was also very physical, trying to pick up my daughter or parent her. I would block her or tell her to please let me deal with my child. The whole time she pretty much ignored me, but Katie didn't seem nervous. So I decided to just bid my time. I hit my limit when my daughter said she needed a bathroom, and the stranger went, "Oh, Gabby, you need potty? Let mommy change you." My daughter hasn't worn diapers in a while now, and she's more than capable of going alone to the bathroom. I immediately told her to stay away from my daughter, and that we were leaving. The woman started wailing that I was kidnapping her baby girl, and tried to lunge at me. Her in-laws got to the middle and held her, consoling her, and saying that we weren't leaving and for her to calm down like she was the victim. At that point, I just glared at Jeff and told him he better explain or I would be calling the police. He asked me to speak in private in another room and that I could just leave my daughter with his parents. No way that would ever happen. Katie's godparents took her with them despite the wife having a full meltdown. Jeff and I spoke outside, and he explained that he and his wife recently lost a daughter. I'm not going to give specific details on that. All I'll say is it was sudden and nobody's fault. And as I can only imagine, it had caused some psychological issues to his wife. Apparently, he had a brilliant idea that having Katie passed as their lost child would help his wife, without telling me. And that's why he wanted visitations and parental rights. He pleaded for me to leave my daughter with him for a little bit. But I asked him what was his plan when his wife heals. His response was disgusting. "Well, I'll just send Katie back with you and it will be just like before." I told him he was insane if he thought I would let him use my daughter like that. What his wife needs is therapy with a professional, not feeding her delusions. And I would not let that woman within miles from my daughter. He told me I was being cruel and didn't know the pain of losing a child. I agreed with him, but reminded Jeff that my priority is not his family. It's my child. What he and his family do to work through their grief has nothing to do with us. I also told him to call his lawyer because I'm making sure he never has contact with my child. So that's what I'm bracing for. He's been blasting my phone since Christmas, but I can easily ignore him. My daughter and I are doing a small travel vacation. You should probably get a restraining order, since I can definitely see him, his wife, or other family members trying to kidnap your daughter. I would show pictures to her school and other caretakers and let them know the situation. Your daughter's sperm donor is dealing with some grief issues of his own, and like his wife, has gone off the deep end. You need to get protection in place ASAP, since most children are kidnapped by family. We're planning for my daughter to stay for a little with her godparents. They can drop her and pick her at school while I'll deal with the legal stuff. Absolutely going for a restraining order. Any chance he's dumb enough to text you any of the things he said? Would be nice to have a paper trail for the courts, instead of just your word versus his. Oh, he has texted some stuff. Not his whole brilliant idea, but enough to be creepy. Doesn't help he doesn't use my daughter's name, but the name his wife was using. Sounds like they live in Delulu land. You are 100% right to set these boundaries. Just do yourself a favor and make sure your lawyer knows what's up next week and be prepared to get that order of protection ready. I found out on the 26th. I sent him an email and he called me in minutes after. Careful they don't try to kidnap her from daycare or school or something. Edit. Just something I feel needs to be said. My daughter is set for life monetarily. She has a trust that I make really good money in my position. If she was 18 right now, I could put her through college without a loan. She doesn't need child support for quality of life. If I could get child support to never worry about her father trying something, I would be suing him in a heartbeat. But after talking to a lawyer and realizing the risk, I've taken the decision that child support or possible inheritance is not worth my child's safety. Safety is always first. January 6, 2024. Hey everyone, Happy New Year's! This isn't so much a real update as just letting people know we are home and safe. My daughter is spending the rest of her vacation with her godparents on another trip while I work on things. Moving might be something I'll be looking into, though that is a long-term plan considering all it takes. I won't share too many details on what my lawyer is going to be doing, but we are absolutely going to push for a restraining order. I might not post for some time, at least not until things settled. I do appreciate all the support and good advice. I'm taking a lot of it into account as I plan how to move forward. Now for the second update. Hey everyone, I decided to post a last update since I will be going full silent for a long period. For those that didn't know, I'm right now dealing with my daughter's father and his delusions. He wants to use my daughter as a therapy doll for his wife that recently lost a child. A lot of people were worried for my daughter and me, and I truly appreciate it. We're both safe. She's currently having a great vacation with her godparents, and I'm currently making my own arrangements to move on. My lawyer is working hard in keeping everything in order. I know a cease and desist was his first action, and we are going for no contact. He says we have a solid case, and hopefully this will be resolved relatively fast. And by that, I mean a year or two. We did get a temporary restraining order. It's only until our first court date, but after, it could be extended. I haven't had direct contact with Jeff. He lawyered up too and tried to send a threat to take full custody. My lawyer laughed at it, since his reasoning was parental alienation. Except I have proof I tried for years to have him involved. Apparently, turning in a few emails showing my attempts was enough to get them to change parental alienation to a different reasoning. My lawyer is not worried in all honesty. For now, I've decided after much thinking that moving is going to be necessary. It won't be something I can do on a whim, but I'll be looking into new houses within the month to hopefully move sometime this year. School will remain the same, but we will be speaking to the admin to make sure only certain people can pick her up. And part of that decision has been to hire a private driver. He's someone I absolutely trust and has worked for relatives in the past, so I'm very comfortable with the idea, and so is my daughter. Now I just have to make sure they don't go for fast food every day after school. Things in all honesty are not that scary right now. I have a good lawyer, good evidence, and my little girl is happy and healthy. So I'm just going to focus on working things little by little. Because of the legal proceedings, I don't think I'll be posting any updates anytime soon. And to those sending me PMs telling me I'm horrible for keeping my daughter from her father, or telling me I shouldn't have had her in the first place, please kindly speak to the void. I'm too busy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my dad's wife with her baby and saying I am not her helper? Dad and I, 17 male, do not have a good relationship. When my mom was sick with cancer, my dad was out cheating on her, and he left me to take care of my younger siblings, 12 female and 11 male. He even let me catch him with 2 different women during that time, and my mom was in hospice. So it was really difficult not to say anything. But I was so overwhelmed and scared that saying the wrong thing would take her from us sooner. This was 4 years ago, and I never forgave him for what he put me through. I told him before that I never want to be like him when I grow up, and he is no role model for me. I also called him a failure as a husband and a father. He was mad at being called a failure as a father. But when his 3 kids needed him the most, he wasn't there. Instead, he was screwing women on the side. He also said he loved my mom and never wanted me to say he was all bad as her husband. I said I found it so hard to believe, and he would never convince me he actually loved her. I was still mostly in charge after mom died, but eventually my siblings started to pick up some skills, so I wasn't basically doing it all. It really helped and made us regular siblings again, instead of me being almost a dad. But it was also tough, because they're really young, and I hated that they were forced to grow up so fast. Losing mom did that anyway. Dad met someone a couple of years ago and he introduced her to us last year, and it took only a few weeks for her to move in. Then suddenly she's pregnant, and they raced to get married. My dad's wife tried to involve my siblings and me in her pregnancy excitement, but I wasn't excited, and I don't think they were either. I'm pretty sure we all avoided her as much as we could. The baby was born in December and she has been reaching out to me to help pretty often. But I don't help her. I check in on my siblings where I can, but other than that, I focus on me. I know biologically that baby is my half-sibling, but I don't care. I don't see them as a sibling, and I'm not planning to bond with them or keep them in my life once I'm in college. I won't speak to dad either, just my siblings. Recently, dad's wife has been pressing more for my help, and the other day she asked me why I could be such a great big brother to my younger siblings, but I have never even held her baby or cooed over her baby. She told me she sees me do so much for my siblings and knows I was the person who helped them through when mom was sick and then when she died. She told me she figured I would want to be the same for her baby. I told her it wasn't my job to help, and to get her husband to help if she needed it. She told me she wanted her baby to be accepted, and none of us had accepted the baby yet. None of us had interacted with the baby yet. She said it's not fair, and she needs help. I told her I'm not her helper, and she needs to hire someone if she wants to help, or again, get dad. But I won't be doing anything for her or her baby. She called me disgusting. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If it were me, I would tell her all the nitty-gritty details of exactly why you had to be there for your siblings, so that she understands why you're not interested in your dad's new family. She knows the details. She has attempted to defend my dad in the past, even though he doesn't even try to better his relationship with me. Tell her you were sick of being parentified while your mom was dying and your dad was just interested in his next fling rather than caring for his kids. You want a life. She is fit and healthy. She should look after her own baby, or the dad should step up. Not the a-hole. If you live at home, try to spend time at library, etc. I work so I can get out ASAP. That's where I spend a lot of time when I'm not at school or checking in on my siblings. Please make sure that you're the only one that can access the money that you've been earning. I am. I don't even think he knows I have a job. She doesn't for sure. Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my friend her key back? Original post. I became friends with a couple, female 26 and male 31, when they moved to my city about 3 years ago. I met them together and I'm closer with the wife, but still friends with her husband. About a year ago, the wife moved to another city for her job while the husband stayed behind to finish his master's degree. In September, I got a call from the wife. She was inconsolable and admitted she had a brief affair, but ended it because she wanted to focus on her marriage. The affair partner did not take it well, found a husband, and told him everything in painful detail, complete with screenshots and photo evidence. The husband was obviously blindsided and devastated. They are still living in 2 separate states, and the husband has gone low to no contact with the wife, asking for space. She has been incredibly emotional since this happened. I've been in contact with her multiple times a day just to check in and let her know she's loved and important, but she's understandably been a mess. I've seen the husband a few times and let him know that the wife told me what happened. I told him I just wanted him to know I'm here if he needs anything. My goal has been to be there for both of my friends and not take sides. To me, this situation comes down to bad decisions that had painful consequences. There's no villain in this story. People are not the sum of their mistakes. Fast forward to the present day, the wife has been served divorce papers. She wants to talk to the husband in person, but he doesn't. He agreed to FaceTime if they do speak. She now wants to fly here without telling him and show up on his doorstep to fight for the marriage. They have a door code to their apartment that they use daily, as well as a key they gave me about a year ago when I was watching their pets. When I went to return the key, the husband told me to hang on to it. He has since changed the door code, so she currently has no way to enter the apartment if he's not home. She's also worried he won't let her in if he knows it's her, although I don't think that would be the case, but who knows? She asked me to pick her up from the airport and give her the key so she can get in. I told her I'm not comfortable with that because I don't want the husband to feel betrayed or think I was part of an ambush. She plans to arrive at 10 p.m. unannounced, which I think is a terrible idea. I'd be spooked if it were me. Even though he's former military, I just don't think surprising anyone that late is a good idea. I suggested that if she Ubers to the apartment and he won't let her in, or is at home, I could still drive. I'm only 15 minutes away, and give her the key then. But she said no. She's still on a lease, so she legally has the right to enter the apartment, but I'm reluctant to give her the key up front. So am I the a-hole to him if I give her the key, or am I the a-hole to her if I don't give it to her up front? Edit. I should clarify that they were still together when they gave me the key, which is part of why I was conflicted. She technically gave it to me, with him there. She had already moved for her job when I tried to return it, and he told me to keep it. This is a difficult situation because her mental health has declined significantly since this happened. She's had episodes of self-harm and suicidal thoughts, including making a plan and reaching out to me. I was able to coordinate with one of her friends in her city and convinced her to admit herself to the hospital for a 48-hour hold. Her mental health has been incredibly fragile. That doesn't excuse her choices, but during these episodes, she asked me to reach out to her husband to tell him the state she was in. I told her no, because I felt it was manipulative, and I also thought that whether he responded or not, it would impact her negatively either way. I encouraged her to work with her therapist instead. The support I've given her has solely been regarding her mental health. I haven't engaged in conversations with either of them about the other. She has mostly vented to me about her deep regret, remorse, guilt, and lack of self-worth because of her choices. As her friend, I've tried to support her as a vulnerable human being by reminding her that we are not the sum of our mistakes. While this is painful and has deep consequences, she still has so much to live for. I say all this because I've seen comments suggesting that I inserted myself into the middle of this, but this situation just escalated today. She asked me for the key and I told her I wasn't comfortable with that for the reasons I stated in my original post. She's obviously emotional, and since she technically gave me the key with this agreement, I reluctantly agreed. But my conscience is telling me that might not be the right decision, even though I'm trying to navigate a really intense and sensitive situation. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole for giving him the key or telling him to change the locks. Mail him the key and tell him to expect it. Do not let your friend hurt him anymore. She chose to cheat on her husband. There are consequences. What if you were in his shoes? How would you feel if your cheating ex was given keys to your home? Tell the husband you're returning the key. It's not your dance. This. Be upfront with him that you do not feel comfortable having the key. And as he's the one residing in the apartment, you're returning it to him. She's also trying to manipulate you. Do not get involved in their divorce issues. Yeah, the people who scream the loudest for help are not always the ones who suffer the most. You can suffer very well in silence. And most of the time, the people who ends their life, well, they just do it, with no warning, sadly. Coming when you know you're not welcomed is stalking behavior. At OP, she's not your friend. A true friend wouldn't ask you to do such thing. Do not get involved. Your friendship with both of them will irretrievably be changed. She lives further away and will more than likely not come back. He lives locally, so it's nice to have a friend you can trust. I would just say to her that she's putting you in an impossible situation and it isn't fair. You've been there for her throughout, but this is one step too far, and tell her you gave the key back if nothing else. Good luck. Thanks. You've made some really great points. I'm definitely not going to be giving her the key. Now for the first update. What a jolt this has been in a really short span of time. First, I do want to say that I absolutely think the choices she made were wrong, and so does she. She knows she messed up and has been torturing herself over it in some really intense ways. Ways that I am absolutely not qualified to help her navigate. However, I've tried to be a supportive friend because of the immediacy and severity of the help she needed at a time. Thanks to everyone for the perspective. I think I've been so worried about her emotional state over the last few months that I've been too close to it to see what some of you are saying. That she's been a bit manipulative with me, especially when I told her I wasn't comfortable giving her the key. I'm going to call her tomorrow and let her know that I'm not giving it to her. I really appreciate the snap out of it slap that a lot of you provided. Second update. Update on the wife. I let her know this morning that I wouldn't be giving her the key. As many of you predicted, she instantly responded with complete vitriol. No discussion. No, please reconsider. None of that. Just straight to, I can't believe you right now. I can't rely on anyone. Thanks a lot. And fine, you will regret it. That last one was a bit unexpected. I probably would have been shocked if I hadn't read the feedback on this post beforehand. So I was honestly unfazed and just responded that I don't support what she's trying to do. Like a few people mentioned, if the roles were reversed and the husband was asking me to do this, I would absolutely be saying the same thing. I told her she needs to respect my decision because it's not going to change. Among other things, she told me I was ruining everything. I let her know that, unfortunately, she is the one who has ruined everything with the decisions she's made in the past, and that it's time for her to start taking accountability and stop looking for people to blame. I also told her that I would be giving the key back to the husband and letting him know what she was planning. She lost it. Lots of swearing, lots of self-pity, and even threats of self-harm. She also said I wasn't a good friend to her. That's when I had enough. I told her I was done being a punch bag for her. I reminded her that I've been a good friend to her when no one else was supporting her, and that I've stood by her through some dark times. I said her selfishness has finally crossed a line with me. I ended it by saying that she's in a dangerous state of mind and needs to reach out to her therapist and share our conversation so they can provide an objective view. I told her that she needs help I can no longer give and that I'm done. She sent me 2 apology texts about 5 minutes later, but I haven't responded and don't plan to. If she somehow shows up at my door after flying in tomorrow, I won't answer her. Updates on husband. I let him know everything this morning. We're good, and we've made plans for me to return the key. She's supposed to fly in tomorrow night and leave Saturday. He actually won't even be in town this weekend. You absolutely did the right thing. Block her number and be careful answering your door, just in case. Thank you. I did, and I will. If there's somewhere local you've always thought about visiting, cafe, museum exhibition, etc., maybe treat yourself to a day trip away from your place on Saturday. Just in case. Thanks. Luckily, I'm working at a client's house, so I won't be around. You did the right thing. She showed her true face, which, to be honest, was no surprise to those of us who read the story. This is who she is, and it's good you recognize that now. The best next step would be to block her. You don't need to be swayed or annoyed by a deluge of sorry not sorry this is who I am texts. Agreed, and I have. Honestly, given her reaction when he initially found out about her cheating, I don't think her little surprise visit plan was anything that hadn't already crossed his mind. Agreed, he didn't seem at all surprised when I told him. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking back the spare key after my sister let her boyfriend in without asking? Here's the situation. I, 30 female, recently moved into a new place and, being the nice sister that I am, I gave my sister Maya, 26 female, a spare key in case of an emergency. You know, for situations like needing to get in for a repair person or something like that. Fast forward to last week when I was out of town for a few days, and I found out from my roommate that Maya had used the key to let her boyfriend in while I was at home. Apparently, she didn't ask me about it first. She just showed up with him and let him hang out at my place, saying it was convenient because she was nearby. I was pretty upset when I found out. I mean, we have a close relationship, but using the key without asking first feels like a big breach of trust. I didn't want her assuming she had free reign over my home when I'm not around. So, I told her I was taking the key back, and honestly, I didn't think it'd be that big of a deal. But now she's furious with me. She says I'm being unreasonable and controlling, and that I should have been chill about it, because it was just her boyfriend coming over. To me, it's not just about her boyfriend coming over. It's about her not respecting boundaries and the trust I placed in her by giving her the key. I don't know. Am I overreacting here? Should I have just let it slide? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Nothing more to say. She used to take advantage of you, and you don't owe her anything. She broke the rules, and now she faces the consequences. It's clear by how mad she's getting that she planned to further use your home and abuse your trust. Her reaction is even more of a reason why you should take back the key. If she still has it, I'd get one of the locks changed, as I'm sure she will have a spare cut for herself before handing it over. How on earth was her boyfriend coming over an emergency? She already broke your trust. You also have a roommate. The home is half her space that she pays for. Your sister bringing a stranger into you and your roommate's home without either of your express permission is wrong, and she knows it. Did you and your roommate both agree on who should be entrusted with an emergency key? Your sister is immature and not ready for the responsibility you entrusted her with. You were not the a-hole. Seriously, if I were the roommate, I'd be absolutely mad. OP is lucky they don't also have to deal with a rightfully angry roommate. You're not the a-hole. But I'm confused. Why would her boyfriend need to go into your place anyway? Was he meeting your sister there? If so, does she not have a place? It's strange that he would be there by himself. Just have a think about what a 26-year-old couple would want to use an empty house for just for a moment. Stuff they can't do at their parents' house. While OP's sister was 99% banging, sometimes just not having to be around parents is great, especially if you don't have a place of your own. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother-in-law out of my house for the things he said about me? I, 26 female, and my boyfriend, 28 male, threw a housewarming party last night since we just got our dream home after we got a massive promotion. I'm currently 5 months pregnant with our first child. This was not planned but was a happy surprise. We have both always wanted to be parents, so we decided to keep the baby. All of our family came over to our house and it was amazing, until my brother-in-law, 22 male, opened his mouth. He joked to my boyfriend that I was clearly baby trapping him since this house was way too nice for my kind, and that he should have dated that Instagram model he dated before me, so his kids could have a fighting chance. For context, I'm Native American and from Wyoming, and my boyfriend and his family are Midwestern white. Without thinking clearly, I said, "Talk about projecting. Your girlfriend is a married single mother. If anything, you're the baby trapper. You don't even know your son's birthday. She didn't even want kids at first, but you argued about kids, and suddenly she's pregnant a month later." His girlfriend, 21 female, was also at the party. My boyfriend then kicked him out of our house after he had a fit over my comment and told him to never speak about his family ever again. His family, mostly his mother, is now blowing up my phone. She has sent me about 10 text messages and a couple of voice notes, blaming me for my brother-in-law's girlfriend finally breaking up with him and saying I sound like a jealous baby mama. Was I in the wrong for calling him a baby trapper and kicking him out? Did I overreact? I feel like I could have handled that better, but I'd rather have unbiased opinions from strangers on Reddit. Sorry if this is kind of all over the place. This baby is giving me the worst headaches. And I'm typing this on my lunch break. Edit to add. I did apologize to my sister-in-law that night it happened. She's now staying with me with her son until her mom is able to have a baby-safe environment in her home. My boyfriend defended me before my baby trapping comment. He's not a crappy boyfriend. I just didn't write that because it didn't feel important to my actions, which I'm asking about. He has always defended me, even over the smallest things. How does his mother think you're jealous? He called you a baby trapper with some racist crap on top, and you called him a baby trapper right back. Sounds like he can dish it out but can't take it, which is not surprising considering his mother clearly enables that behavior. The fact that your words helped his girlfriend realize who he really is and get out while she still has a fighting chance is something to be proud of. And good for your boyfriend for kicking his brother out. Now he needs to shut down the rest of the flying monkeys in his family. Not the a-hole. I don't even know why his mother thinks I'm jealous. That's her baby boy, her words, so I think she's just trying to deflect his behavior and treatment of his girlfriend and child. I'm glad she got out too. She's a sweet girl and amazing mom to her son.
Change baby boy to golden child. You aren't wrong. My boyfriend turned out great, but she fumbled the ball with her golden child. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you have a good boyfriend who has your back. His family, however, needs to pull their heads out of their hindquarters before they start talking about anyone. Brother-in-law openly insulted you in your own home and questioned your character with his horrid comments. He then doubled down by saying your boyfriend should have gotten with an Instagram model so his kids would have a fighting chance. Let your boyfriend know what his family is saying, and that if they don't stop, you will be blocking them. You don't need that kind of toxicity in your life or relationship. My boyfriend is aware of the texts they are sending me, and I've blocked them. He's going to be talking to them once he gets off work.
Update 2. Am I the a-hole for going behind my wife's back and telling her pregnant sister that she's being cheated on? Link to the first part of this saga in the description. Now for the second update. Many people ask me for an update, and I also need some outsider perspectives in my situation, so here it goes. Before I start, I want to clarify something for the people who kept calling me names for telling my sister-in-law the truth. Why do you think I should have minded my own business? She's family, and if family doesn't look out for each other, then who else will? Strangers? This isn't just some harmless or small lie for my brother-in-law. It's life-changing. My sister-in-law isn't just my sister-in-law. She's my friend. If I hadn't told her the truth, my POS brother-in-law would have just kept cheating, and I would have lost a friend if I had delayed any longer. Now for the update. My sister-in-law only stayed at my place for 2 days. After that, she called me and said she didn't want to trouble me anymore and was going to stay at a hotel. I tried to convince her not to waste her money unnecessarily, but she didn't listen and left anyway. And yes, I am divorcing my wife. After a week of no contact, she called me and said she wanted to reconcile. She told me she was angry that I didn't listen to her and went behind her back. She said she didn't want to break her sister's family and had planned to convince my brother-in-law to stop cheating. But she claimed I had messed everything up. She said she was coming back. I told her to come over because I wanted to talk to her in person. This isn't the kind of thing you discuss over the phone. When my wife arrived and started explaining herself, I told her I was filing for divorce. She was shocked and said we could make it work. I told her we couldn't. I said, I don't trust you after everything you said, and you left me with no contact. I was worried all day about where you were, if you were safe, etc., and now you suddenly show up? I can't make it work. She tried to convince me not to go through with a divorce, but I had already made up my mind. I told her that her sister had stayed at our place for 2 days, and she got angry, saying, fine, let's divorce, and left. I told my sister-in-law that I'm getting a divorce. She wasn't happy about it, but she didn't try to convince me one way or the other. I also told her she could stay with me instead of wasting money on a hotel. She said it was inappropriate, but I told her, either you waste your money and struggle or you can accept my help. So, my sister-in-law and I have been living together for the past couple of days. We've discussed our spouses and their behavior, and we're both pretty angry about everything. My sister-in-law is even angrier than I am. She ended up calling my wife, calling her names, and told me she's hell-bent on ruining my brother-in-law. She's divorcing him and plans to go nuclear. She wants as much money as possible in alimony and child support. She wants to drain him. My wife and I haven't spoken since she left, and we both know the divorce is happening. My sister-in-law, though still angry, has started to calm down because it's unhealthy for her and the baby. She's now focusing on her career and reading stories about single moms. She's preparing herself. So that's all for now. And to the weirdos out there, stay away. Neither my sister-in-law nor I have any romantic feelings for each other. I'm just helping her because she needed support, which is why she hesitated so much in accepting my help. Call me a moral police if you want, but I know I did the right thing, not just for my sister-in-law but for myself as well. Now I know exactly what kind of woman my wife is. Did your wife ever tell you where she went? I find it interesting that she has a place where she can just go for an extended period of time and nobody knows where she went to. She went to the guy who she was having an affair with. He did not want anything serious, hence why she came back. Smart to divorce this woman. I don't know, and I don't care. I had mixed feelings. I love my wife and tried to stop her from leaving. Tried to convince her, but she left anyway. Well, I was worried all day every day about my wife, wondering where she was, if she was safe, if she had eaten. She never contacted me after she left, and her family didn't know where she was either. But no matter how much I love her, it's better if I just divorce her. I've lost all trust in her, not just because she wanted to hide my brother-in-law's cheating, but also because she said she would expect me to forgive her if she cheated and that she would forgive me if I cheated. I don't want that. None of this. Besides, if a pregnant woman can put her emotions aside, think for herself and take steps to move forward, then I should do the same. I need to cut out the toxicity and restart my life instead of constantly worrying. In a way, she kind of inspired me. I'm so sorry you're having to go through this. Not the a-hole, but please get support from whoever you can and continue providing support to your sister-in-law. Wishing you the best going forward. Thanks. I got my parents' support, but they won't pick sides. After all, we both are their children and we are fighting, which is understandable. My mom calls me every day at least thrice to check up on me. Me and my sister-in-law support each other and talk a lot. I am in pain, but her pain is unimaginable. She's pregnant and found out her baby's father is a cheat, also low on money and ashamed to seek help. Yes, she's no longer my sister-in-law, but my friend. I'll try my best to support her. Though she's so much in pain, she's thinking about herself and her child. Women are truly strong, especially when they are pregnant indeed. Next story. Am I the a-hole for considering ending my not terrible marriage because being a step-family just isn't working? My husband, 40 male, was a widower when we met. I, 36 female, was a single woman who had never been married before. My husband has a daughter, April 13, from his first wife. April was 5 when her mom died, 7 when my husband and I met, 8 when she and I met, and 11 when we got married. Things with April were okay before I got pregnant. And by okay, I mean we weren't very close. She didn't call me mom or say she loved me, but we got along well. And she said she had no issues with us getting married. She was even in the wedding as her dad's best person. All was good. Then I got pregnant with our son, who is now 4 months old, and everything changed. She was furious when she found out we were expecting. She told us she would not be okay with it, and asked her dad how he could do that to her and her mom. From that moment on, she became hostile toward me, very angry, and lashed out at me, my husband, and anyone who tried to say she was going to be a big sister or referred to our son as her little brother. We got her into therapy and even did family therapy. April refused to speak. We tried to find a therapist who would click with her, but she still wouldn't talk. Eventually, we found a therapist who got her to speak one time, but she only said she didn't want to work with us or make things better. She refused to say why or answer any questions the therapist asked. She didn't address it with her individual therapist either. They worked on other issues instead, but that hasn't been enough to help her come around. People said that once our son was born, once she saw him, she'd fall in love with him and go back to how she was before. That hasn't happened. She's aggressively against anything to do with him. She has never held him, and we don't have any family photos of the 4 of us together. It breaks my husband's heart. He has talked to her and disciplined her, but it hasn't made a difference. She screams that he's not her brother, and even refuses to call him her half-brother, saying he's not my sibling at all. I can't speak to her at all now. The nice relationship we had is gone, and that makes me sad too. The situation isn't working, and our home no longer feels like a home. It feels like a house on the verge of collapse. I'm not sure I want to stay married and continue trying to figure this out for another 5 years. I don't see any hope for it to get better, and even though my son will still have to be around, maybe having 50% of the time in a loving home would be better. I'd be happier, even though I love my husband. When I confided in a friend, she told me I can't give up this quickly and that I'm not giving it enough time to get better. Am I the a-hole? People said that once our son was born, once she looked at him, she'd fall in love and go back to how she'd been before. I just have to ask, who the hell were these delusional people? Look at him and fall in love. Really? That's something you say to a nervous, soon-to-be parent. These people couldn't have had any real experience with this kind of situation. It rarely happens that older siblings, especially those who are vehemently opposed to the baby and want nothing to do with them, suddenly flip a switch just because they see the new kid. They don't look at the baby and think, "Aw, how cute. I love them so much." They look at the baby and think, "This is the drooling, puking crap monster that's turning my world upside down." Not just that, but she won't be the only little queen bee anymore. My older sister threw me out of the window as a baby and tried to harm me all throughout my childhood. Be careful. No judgment, but I'd be concerned about your son being with her during your husband's custody time with him if you divorce. Just something to consider since she is part of the household. And honestly, it sounds as if you would be giving her what she wants, which I don't know if that's a good thing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband to prioritize our family tradition over his new friendship? My husband, 35 male, and I, 32 female, have a small but meaningful tradition we started during the first year of our marriage. It's nothing major, but it's important to me. Every November, on the weekend before Thanksgiving, we take a day trip to a lakeside town about an hour away. We spend the day walking, talking, and picking out a new ornament for our Christmas tree, something meaningful to our year. It's just one day, but it's one of those things that makes the holiday season special for us. Recently, my husband became great friends with a guy from his gym. They hit it off quickly, and I think it's great because my husband doesn't make new friends easily. His friend seems like a genuinely nice person and shares a lot of my husband's interests, like hiking and gaming. I know it's refreshing for my husband to have someone he clicks with so well. Here's the issue. My husband's friend invited him on a weekend trip during the exact same weekend as our tradition. My husband seemed hesitant to bring it up at first, but eventually he asked if I'd be okay with rescheduling our tradition to another weekend so he could go with his friend. I was caught off guard and told him it kind of hurt my feelings that he'd even consider moving it. He told me it wasn't a big deal for us to just go another weekend, and it's right in the sense that it wouldn't really affect anything logistically. But this trip has always felt like our thing. It's not that I don't want him to have fun or make new friends, but I feel like he's minimizing something that's special to us, or at least special to me. When I told him that, he looked surprised and then frustrated, saying I was overreacting. He eventually agreed to keep the weekend for our tradition, but I could tell he was disappointed, and I feel guilty about that. Part of me wonders if I'm being stubborn about a little ritual that maybe only I care about as much as I do. So, am I the a-hole for asking him to prioritize our tradition over his new friend? Edit. I saw some people asking how long we've been married. We've been married for 6 years, and we've been doing this tradition since our first year together. Always on the same weekend. A lot of people have asked why this specific weekend matters so much to me. I think it's because we've kept this tradition on the same weekend for over 6 years, and for me, the timing feels like an integral part of the tradition itself. It's become a marker for the start of the holiday season in my mind, and changing it feels like it would lose some of the meaning behind it. Info. While I think it's super nice your husband made a friend, he's currently blinded by the honeymoon phase of friendship. Does he actually enjoy the trip, or is he doing it because you want to do it? He's kept the weekend open every year without me having to remind him, and we always have a great time. That said, he hasn't explicitly said how important it is to him or how much he enjoys it. I've expressed to him how much it means to me though, so I'm guessing it may feel more significant to me than it does to him. That's part of why I'm second-guessing myself. Maybe I've been assuming we were on the same page about it being our thing without ever checking in with him about how he feels. I don't see how changing the weekend you go will change the tradition though. To some people, changing weekends is fine. Others need to celebrate on certain days. My wife's father's side does Thanksgiving a week early every year so everyone can make time for their other family on Thanksgiving. I know others that get upset if you try to celebrate their birthday on the closest weekend rather than the actual date. Update after a few hours. I want to thank everyone who shared their opinions. After reading the comments and giving myself some time to reflect, I decided to talk to my husband again. I told him I felt bad about how things went earlier and that I didn't mean to make him feel like I'm keeping him on a leash. I also explained why our little tradition feels so special to me and how I've always seen that weekend as our weekend. He admitted that he hadn't realized how much it meant to me. He said he'd been excited about the trip with his friend because it was the first time in a long while that someone had reached out to him like that, and he didn't want to let that slip away. We both agreed that we could have handled the conversation better, and that neither of us wanted the other to feel like their feelings didn't matter. As mentioned earlier, we've decided to stick to our tradition this year as planned, and my husband is going to plan a weekend trip with his friend in January after the holidays are over. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my sister to have her birthday party in my house? My husband, 26 male, and I, 24 female, recently bought our first home, and we've worked incredibly hard to get here. We don't come from money, and everything we have, we've earned ourselves. We are very close to my side of the family and see them nearly every day. I've always kind of been the black sheep of the family because I'm the only one who has set boundaries. Anyway, a week after my husband and I moved in, my sister, 26 female, sent me an invitation to her birthday party, which she planned to hold at our new house. I want to note that she had briefly asked me about hosting the party here a few days earlier, and I told her I wasn't sure because we still had a lot of unpacking to do. Clearly, that wasn't a concern for her, as she went ahead and sent out the invitation days later, inviting extended family who live several hours away and would need to stay a night or two. Since we're still settling in, we don't have extra beds or much furniture yet, and my husband and I didn't feel ready to host what felt like a large gathering so soon, especially since we haven't even planned a housewarming party yet. Both of us work full-time and have limited time to unpack, so things are moving slowly. I told my sister that we'd be open to having a smaller, more intimate celebration, just immediate family and maybe one or two close friends. I also explained that this move has been a huge transition for me, and I'm still getting used to the new city and lifestyle. While I wanted to celebrate her, I didn't feel ready for a big party. After that, she stopped responding to me. The next day, I went to my parents' house during my lunch break, and my dad came outside to tell me that they didn't want to see me. He said I was being selfish for turning down my sister's request and that I had hurt the whole family. Now my family refuses to speak to me until I apologize, and they've called me ungrateful and a narcissist. I don't know if I was in the wrong, if I made a big deal out of it, or if I unintentionally hurt my family. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. No wonder you've had to set boundaries with your family. It's utterly ridiculous that they feel like she's entitled to your space like this. You'd best contact those extended family members before they make travel arrangements, because it doesn't sound like she's going to. Or at best, she'll tell them it's cancelled and it's all your fault, so you look terrible. The entire family seems like they're a-holes, to be honest. Who in their right mind demands someone's house for their own private celebration, then badmouths to everyone? What a nightmare. Not the a-hole. You never said yes. You said that you would have to think about it. Your sister is the one who jumped the gun and started planning and inviting people. I don't understand your dad's comments about you hurting the whole family. That makes no sense. Definitely don't apologize. You've done nothing wrong. Would not be surprised at all if the parents were the origin of, "Our place is too small for that. Why not at your sister's new place? You can have your big party over there."